What's going on, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, we are taking a look at the latest hardcover from the world of Mike Mignola. This is The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects, the 20th Anniversary Edition. We're going to talk about the stories collected in here and whether they do tie into the Hellboy universe. So, let's get started. Alright, what we're looking at here is the Amazing Screw-On Head. Now, I'm not sure what brought you to this video, whether you watch all my videos, or whether you had seen the Amazing Screw-On Head short. There was a pilot that went on, actually a buddy of mine was a producer on that. Never kicked off. Whatever brought you here, thanks for being here. And we do put out videos every day, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and like if you watched the video and enjoyed what you saw. Even if you didn't. Goes a long way. Very little effort for you. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this book. This is The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects. Before going any further, though, I do want to thank the folks at Dark Horse for sending us a copy of this book. This book should be available everywhere now in the direct market and book market. It's been previously collected before in trade paperback and hardcover format, but this is the latest 20th anniversary edition. The biggest question I'm sure I'm going to be asked is, how big is this? This is a hardcover. Well, I can tell you that it is bigger than the standard size hardcovers that Dark Horse puts out, like the BPRD books, or the Hellboy Secret Histories, or Hellboy Weird Tales. It is actually as tall as the library editions. So things like Nocturnals, The Goon, and Harrow County, and of course, Hellboy library editions. The dimensions are different, though. It's not as long, if you can see right there. But it is just as tall. And you can kind of fake it on your bookshelf to make it look all neat. But this time around, we have the Dark Horse logo up at the top, The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects, Mignola and Stewart, and Dark Horse Books. On the back, we have more art of Screw-On Head there. And the retail price down there in the ISBN, $39.99. I love the addition of the little turnip right there, which is a big part of the story. The big difference between this and the Hellboy library editions is also the Hellboy library editions had cloth all around them. They were just bound in this hardcover with cloth. And let me tell you, if you have pets, that thing's a nightmare because you'll get a bunch of hairs on it. But this right here, much like the Hellboy 25 Years of Covers, is just cloth on and around the spine of the book. But the rest of the book is just art on board. But no dust jacket, and just art on both sides, and you saw the spine. Now, let's open this up, talk about the stories collected in here, see if they have any ties to Hellboy and what my thoughts are. Maybe if you read this in the comments, you can tell me what your favorite story collected in here is. We all have different taste after all. Alright, let's crack this open. I think my favorite thing about this particular collection is that you don't need to have read 2 decades of Hellboy or BPRD, this continuing story, to enjoy the things that happen in this particular collection. So you have The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects, Mike Mignola. I love this, that Katie Mignola gets top billing. She was only 7 years old when she co-wrote that with her dad. The colors by Dave Stewart, and then you have Clem Robbins and Pat Brazeau as the letterers. And then the Dark Horse credits down there for my wife, my daughter, and former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, who plays a big part in The Amazing Screw-On Head. I love this forward right here by Mike Mignola. This is a new forward by him, and you'll see some new things to this particular edition. He talks about how important the stories in here are, because this is when he started having fun with comics. Like, he had drawn Batman, he had drawn Wolverine, and then finally he broke in and got his own thing. He wasn't making millions of dollars with Hellboy, but he was making a living, and it was still a hustle to get out there and draw and write stories about Hellboy. And then eventually he kind of relaxed and got to tell stories that he wanted to. He wanted to just have fun with it. But that's what all of this is. These are just little stories that don't amount to anything. They introduce new characters. You don't need to read anything after this or before this. And it's just him having fun. And if you know how he writes his stories, then he's using his basic formula of these dark goth settings, but it's all balanced out by these witty and funny dialogue pieces. So we are introduced in the first story. It's not a very long story, to the amazing Screw-On Head. We have President Lincoln, who apparently calls him whenever the world needs help. So he calls him into service, and Screw-On Head is like, yeah, let's do it for my country. He has the help of Mr. Groin and Mr. Dog, who is a dog who can smell out where his villains are. Adorable trio. The three of them just go on an adventure. They go and stop Emperor Zombie, who is trying to reach Shambhala. But turns out there's a twist with it, and you can find out what that twist is. And now, while the stories in here aren't connected to Hellboy, they are sort of interconnected a little bit. Like, we have Dr. Snap here. He appears in another story, my favorite story in this collection. There's Emperor Zombie and Madame, who is a vampire, if you will. But this is the type of artwork in here. I'm going to just skip a little bit. It's your classic Mike Mignola juxtaposing his dark and gothic and sometimes horrifying panels of art with this just silly dialogue. Especially the villains. The villains are so ridiculous. So it's not just the amazing Screw-On Head. So this is a really short story, and then we move on to pictures of 3 old horrible women and a monkey. Now this monkey shows back up later on, this monkey with a crown. And, this is just like all these fan theories. I'm going to skip a bunch of these. All these fan theories. This is Abu Gung and the Beanstalk. Just another story that's collected in here to kind of fatten this collection up, because they wanted to do a hardcover collection, but they said, wait, the story of Screw-On Head is really not enough to get a hardcover. You're going to have to get some other short stories. So all these stories in here come from different anthologies. You have the Amazing Screw-On Head that appeared as a one-shot comic. The Magician and the Snake that I talked about, that previously appeared in a Dark Horse anthology. Happy Endings, Abu Gung and the Beanstalk, this one here. This one appeared in another Dark Horse anthology. Scatterbrain, I think it's been redrawn for this particular collection. And I don't have the one previous to this, the collection before this, so it might have been redrawn for that, and they expanded on it, so it's got additional pages. And then there's 3 other stories in here collected for the first time back when the first collection came out of this particular book. This is the latest printing, and that is The Prisoner of Mars, The Chapel of the Curious Objects, I love that one, and The Witch and Her Soul. But this right here, let's talk about this story, The Magician and the Snake. So this is the one that was written by Katie Mignola, his daughter, at the age of 7, and Mike Mignola, much, much older. Now, this is a very simple 6-page story. That's it. Just 6 pages. And the theories that I share with so many others is that this is one of the most important stories outside of Hellboy and BPRD. And it's mainly due to the 3 objects. So I'm not going to give away what happens in Hellboy. I think that's an experience that you have to witness for yourself. But if you read the final book, and I've done an overview of the reading order of Hellboy. If you read the final story and come back to this, or read this before you read the final story, you're going to see some connections. You're going to be like, oh, wait, I've seen some of this before. So maybe this takes place in a particular part of the world, or underworld, rather. So you can judge for yourself. There's The Witch and the Soul right here. Is another short story. And by far my favorite one in this collection. I think most people will say Screw-On Head is great, or of course The Magician and the Snake. But for me is The Prisoner of Mars, which is the return of this particular character right here, Dr. Snap. And the subtitle is How Dr. Snap Murdered Professor Cyclops and What Came of It. Or, of course, The Prisoner of Mars. I love the twist in this. I like where he takes us, because I didn't know where he was going. And Dr. Snap is the character that appears later on. He's got a robot body. Not later on, I'm sorry. In the first story with the amazing Screw-On Head. He's like a minion to Emperor Zombie. But I didn't see where this was going to go. This goes on sci-fi, fantasy, just kind of all over the place. while still keeping this gentlemanly dialogue that you would expect these Shakespearean or Poe-like characters to deliver. But I absolutely love this story, and it's beautiful artwork by Mike Mignola. Again, just him not taking any of this seriously, not saying that, hey, these characters are going to show up somewhere else, just having fun. And I think sometimes that's when you find your writers telling the best stories, is whenever they're able to relax and just have fun. Now, he, of course, did that in Hellboy eventually, but this was almost like a trial run. There's the Chapel of Curious Objects. This is another one that ties back to other stories in here, and eventually maybe even Hellboy. So then we get to part 3, and this is the 20th anniversary bonus curiosity. So I'm just going to flip to a couple of pages here to kind of get an idea of what else is included in this particular collection for the first time. The backstory here, the Great Unpublished Curiosity. This is all with Axor, Slayer of Demons. This is all in black and white with no dialogue. And this is one of the longer ones. And then we get to my favorite parts of any books, and that is the sketchbooks and the story notes. Not only do you get the sketches of these characters that appear throughout these stories, but you also get Mignola's witty banter and free-flowing verbal compositions whenever he's talking about these characters or the ideas that he had originally and how different they end up looking. But the sketchbook is all back here, much like every one of his collections. The book, again, has 144 pages. Let's skip some so you can be surprised for yourself. And retails for $39.99. The previous printings of these hardcovers have been out of print for a long time, and I don't know if this is, I cannot remember. My other hardcover that I had, I don't think it was a library. I think it was just a standard size hardcover. So this might be the first time that we've had a library size collection of the Amazing Screw-On Head. So let's take a look at this binding. At 144 pages, it is sewn binding. And there's what the eye looks like. It is this thick, glossy paper, the same paper they've been using for the Hellboy library editions. That's what you're going to find in here. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Let me know what your favorite story collected in here is, and whether you've read any of these fun stories in here or not. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this 20th anniversary edition hardcover. Let me know in the comments down below if you already have the previous editions, if this is your first time reading any of these stories in here, what you think about the Hellboy universe, and whether you agree with me or not about the Magician and the Snake story in here. This was the Uncanny Omar. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We have a spread shop and a Patreon. Great ways to support the channel if you can do so. Both links are in the description of the video. Thank you everybody for watching. Much love.